Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of, well, this the first episode of the BETBOOM Universe. My name is DK Truman, and I am joined here by Harry Freak. I just saw that first series, and quite a surprising result, I might add.
That is true, though. You know, coming into it, though I don't think Virtus Pro were like the heavy favorites, but they were the favorites. In the end, though, the last game definitely surprising to me that you win it like so easily on the side of Orido Thunders, but they're not to be underestimated. Some big players on their side.
Yeah, now we're gonna have another game with some very big players right here. We got ourselves Alliance versus Into the Breach, team that kind of just dropped to Division 2, and of course Alliance, the team that always keeps jumping in between the two lines of Div 1, Div 2. So we're really gonna be able to get a test of what where Alliance stands. Of course, they played their first game in Division 2, I think, yesterday. I think that was even a loss. With their new roster, so definitely looking forward to seeing what they can bring, because even though Into the Breach got knocked out, like Div 1 Western EU's stupidly stacked.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I think they lost to Orido Thunders as well. So you know, it's nothing to be ashamed of for Alliance. Speaking about Into the Breach, people don't think that even in the DPC, Into the Breach and Alliance are facing off against each other. They might if Alliance doesn't manage to get the Division 1, but if they do, then they're not gonna be meeting each other. But they're gonna be meeting each other here, Truman. And I mean, I can see that our organizers are favoring Into the Breach, but I don't know how it looks from your side.
It's really hard because, of course, they have new players in their roster. New and old players. Chi1, for instance, I think he hasn't played for over a year. Of course, from like the old Mineski roster, and I think even Fnatic roster and whatnot in Southeast Asia. They also have Ponlo. Ponlo is that one I do love a lot. On paper, it's a very good lineup, but the problem is, for me, I can't rate them yet because Chi1 hasn't played, so I don't know where he stands. Whereas, of course, Into the Breach Shuffle, yes, they lost in the DPC. Obviously, it was really tough to advance. I mean, it was either Nigma or Secret relegated at one point, so that says enough about Western EU. But I think they're a really good line, especially Immersion. I've always found him to be one of the best forward positions out there, especially as Earth Spirit. I really hope they pick it.
And I see that it is actually gonna be Milan that's playing. You know, he is gonna be their position 5 for this one. Kidero seems to be benched. The coach wants to have a little bit of practice. So he's gonna be taking over here. That shouldn't be too big of an issue for them. Milan, he has stood in for them multiple times. And, sometimes, you know, even on the fair, will look solid.
Yeah, of course, one of the most experienced vagabonds, I would say, in EU, because he's been in a lot of different teams. Ponlo, I think last year even played in China, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, Alliance going back to some older Alliance build with Hanskin and S4 coming back. So they're trying to rebuild their roster and hopefully make it towards Division 1. Here we have the first couple of picks. Of course, Rubik heavy picked in this patch. No real surprises so far. I would say both rosters will most likely just stick to the default. Try to get Lina. Lina gets banned. You cry. Then you go for Drow or something along those lines. Spectre's been playing up pretty significantly as well.
True. I wouldn't hate like a Primal Beast right now for Alliance. I haven't watched much of their games. I mean, they've only had one.
Because yesterday in Western EU Div 2, when I was casting, you were not allowed to pick Primal Beast because the ulti didn't work.
Oh, what didn't work about it? I guess it was stronger?
No, it literally just got, like, you used it and it cancelled immediately. So so they didn't want to have, like, teams being able to complain about, oh no, we lost because the hero's ulti didn't work, so no one was allowed to pick the hero.
Oh, okay. So it would have. I didn't know about that one. So,
I don't know if they fixed it. Could be the case that they fixed it. It's Valve. They tend to hot fix small things pretty quickly, but then forget about, you know, giving us the patch for forever.
I just don't see patch coming out before the major, because either it's in the middle of Division 2 or it's the day before the major.
I mean,
right?
that would
Or
be
on the
wonderful,
day.
though. I prefer it that way, whereas everyone panicking, all the pro teams, everyone scrimmed completely different heroes, and then they have to go through the entire majors just trying to figure out the new meta. It would be, that is honestly my favorite way of that they could do it. I know all the pro players would be mad, but everyone would be watching the major, right? Because everyone would be like,
Yeah.
new patch, how is every pro team going to do this?
And that is fair. You know, adaptability is a skill that you need for Dota. So adaptability to the draft during a big tournament, why not? There were in the past, you know, some ESL tournaments where the patch would drop mid a LAN tournament. Now, because it's a Valve event, it has some special meaning. Well, you know, who cares? Just let them fight it through, and let's see who's actually the best at the game, who can understand the patch just from watching the patch notes. That would be a real test for sure.
Unfortunately, they're never going to do it.
Yeah.
It would be nice, of course, because they're going to bring out that new hero as well, which it's kind of Mexican, even though the major's in Peru, but still South America-ish, even though, yeah. Yep.
It's close, you know.
It's close. It's in the vicinity.
Yeah, I've never been to South America, but maybe there are, you know, maybe there's something they've taken from the Mexican culture. So, you know, who knows? Might be.
They speak Spanish. It's all the same.
Yeah, might be the case. This is a core coddle, or is this a core hoodwink? I'd go with a core coddle, considering Supreme does feel like a player who could play it.
Yeah, mid coddle has been joining up a little bit more these days. I don't think it has won as much because it tends to be like super good still, you get really farmed, and then at one point you just like fade away as mid laner, which you kind of don't want to have. And of course it was a hero that you pretty much always picked because of the small camp that was near to where it's mid, but that small camp has been gone for like a year now. So
really,
I think so.
A year?
Was the patch?
Man, don't tell me it's a year, because now every single time I hear it's been 2 years, 3 years, I start feeling old. So yeah, we're gonna skip that one. It was 3 months ago that the small camp was removed. I'm gonna stay with that one.
The patch notes came, 3 months ago. Yeah. Oh, I really hope to see as little Lina at the major as possible.
I feel like she's gonna be figured out at the major. Like that's how it feels. The hero is insane, but it has been overused in pubs and competitive games alike. I still think it's gonna be figured out. We're gonna be seeing some Spirit Breakers, some Venges. Clockwork is already in the meta, so I think it's something that can be dealt with for sure. But now Alliance need a way to catch this coddle. That is what I want to see, a catch, and that is a solid one for sure.
Yeah, it's a pretty good catch, but I think Mrs. Void can definitely catch a coddle if necessary, and you also have the chrono damage with the Lesh behind you. Rubik's always just nice to have because it's a Rubik in this batch. Even 5-position Rubik works, which is a freaking miracle. So now I'm allowed to play Rubik in my pubs as 5. Still sucks laning stage wise, but nonetheless, I'm happy that you can have some more greedy supports. And there's the Clockwork you were talking about that have been joining in a little bit more.
This is a good clock game. I mean, when you look at it, the catch on the Hoodwink, the catch on the Treant, the catch on the Coddle, all 3 of the heroes like to be hidden, not want to be seen, and don't want to be caught. Clockwork kind of counters all of it, which is why I'm actually quite surprised that Into the Breach didn't consider banning it. That would have been a no-brainer overall, considering their coach is playing now, and he used to be a Clockwork player as well. So I'm very much surprised that this was let through.
Yeah, I always see Milan as just the Phoenix. Every single time I saw him play, he played the Phoenix. He was really good at it, don't get me wrong, but I always think Milan Phoenix, yeah. But there we have Viper, which... Often Viper, I guess, with the Hoodwink.
Yep. Against the Void, yeah. I think that's the approach. You want the overtime damage against the Faceless Void. He naturally hates the Veno, but Viper is just as disgusting. Also, he's a hero that can build into a Force Staff as well, which is what I think Into the Breach are going to be needing a lot of. You need people to save people from the lift, save people from the stun, save people from the cogs. The Force Staff is definitely the item of the meta.
I'm a little bit worried though about the control that they have on the side of Into the Breach. With, of course, Coddle and Viper not being the best at control, Coddle could possibly get like the Aghanim Scepter at a decent timing, and then it helps, especially with the overgrowth. But compare it to the Alliance side, where they have, I mean, you can't TP out on Alliance, Into the Breach against this Alliance roster. They've got way too much lockdown.
No. I think the idea from Into the Breach is play faster on the map, leave the Viper kind of dangling in a lane as a hero that no one wants to go for, and then you're going left and right, killing people. You kill someone fast, you go towards the Viper. You kill someone fast, you go towards the Viper. And that is how they have to play with this kind of a lineup for sure. Considering they're playing against the Faceless Void, we might see a Wraith King. You know, that is a stun, and it does work well against the Faceless Void though. I haven't seen much picks of the Wraith King, and definitely even less success.
I am wondering. I mean, Wraith King is nice, but I'm a little bit worried because Clockwork can be very annoying for the Wraith King to deal with.
True.
They also have stuff like Lift, and just in general, Wraith King has not been that great as of late. I have seen it win some games, but normally that's against like pretty squishy enemies, or either very tanky enemies where you go for the armlet Deso build and you just try to two-shot their strength cores. But obviously it's like the, you know, quote-unquote counter to the Faceless Void that a lot of teams tend to go for, which in that regard I think it would be a nice pick. And it does bring push to the table, because you do not want to... I don't think there's a shot where Into the Breach wants to try and take this game late.
5 seconds remaining.
No, you really don't push, and you do want to take down those towers, especially the early ones, so that the Coddle can go around the map. And as you mentioned, the towers, the later towers need to drop as well, because Lesh, Void, Clockwork, late game, you have a Viper, you're not gonna have a good time. Maybe ultra late game, you know, when the Viper is super farmed, you could go places, but this lineup is set to win early. That's it for sure. So what are they missing on Alliance? An offlaner, S4 hero maybe. Imagine S4 plays a Clockwork. I've been hoping for a Clock core ever since they added that he kills the creeps fast. It's not going to be happening though. It's going to be a Mars. Even more catch for the Coddle. And I think it's all about catch here, right? If Into the Breach are caught, they're just all dead.
Yeah, it also does lane pretty well, because you can cut down the trees of the treant when needed. If he walks through trees, you throw your spear randomly and get the stun. So it's a good pick. Their control and team fight is kind of insane for the Alliance side. What are you going to choose? What would you go for as the final last pick safe lane?
Oh man, I'm thinking Monkey King is okay-ish, because you will have, but still, this vision is just such a big problem, you know? It's such a big problem. Any range hero, I think, wouldn't be so great, and the big ones are banned out even so. Lina, Drow, and the Sniper. Maybe go for an illusion-based hero like a Naga Siren, make sure that the fight never happens. You could go that route.
Flash? That's a little bit suicidal as well.
I've seen Nagas win against Lash, right? Because you never fight him really, but they go for the Monkey King. Okay, that's
as you predicted first. So that's a nice choice there, but it's gonna be to me. It looks like a rough game for Into the Breach, but their laning situation is actually pretty good. They can.
True.
I guess mid's probably gonna be even, but I think they're both side lanes should be favoring Into the Breach.
Yeah, for sure. And even in the mid lane, I've seen the Coddle outfarm the Lesh. He still does stack the camps on the side there. It is a Radiant Coddle. He can easily get into the jungle and stack. You don't stack multiple camps, but you can definitely stack easily there. We know that the Radiant Coddle can farm quite nicely. So overall, it is team fight and catch versus early game and pickoffs. Tough one, but I think I'm leaning Into the Breach still. I don't think Alliance has outdrafted them, and I still see Into the Breach as a better team currently.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Alliance. Soft spot, of course, for the Southeast Asian boys. But yeah, I think they just need to survive the laning stage without having too big of a deficit, and I think they should be just fine. Like their team fight is just so much stronger, where I'm worried that the Viper can't bring enough to the table, because very likely this is going to be a Guardian Greaves Viper with like the pipe build, because he's going to need to keep his teammates alive, and then the only damage realistically, like consistent damage, would come from the Monkey King, because Coddle does, you know, he does the waves every single time. But that's the one thing that I am a little bit worried about with the lineup of Alliance, is that they have very little sustain compared to their opponents. Yes, the Bloodstone obviously from the Lesh is great, but they're not going to build a pipe Guardian Greaves or anything, whereas Coddle with the heal with the pipe plus Guardian Greaves on the Viper, I think they can actually survive pretty well in team fights, long enough at least to try and out survive those ultis.
I think that is the idea. You get the Viper, you get him in front, and then if the enemy go for him, he survives for as long as possible. Wukong's command is there, you turn on the fight, and you win. So I can see Into the Breach baiting Alliance into that fight. Even though S4, as always as a player, captain, or whatever, in the teams, he has been very good at being the one that baits into fights rather than being baited into those. Though we'll see if he manages to do it this time around. They do have the clockwork for added vision, so I think that is definitely going to help.
God, these visuals are great.
Yep.
Really enjoy the visuals that they've added to this tournament. Pretty impressive. Honestly, would not be a misser in the DPC if they'd shove that one in. The entire like cartoon action, what's it called? The superhero.
Yep.
Comics,
yeah,
kind of idea. Like, pow, kiss, puff. You know,
yeah,
the good old Batman sound effect.
You need to use them in the games, you know, for sure. Like when the Mars uses the God's Rebuke, it's not bonk here, it's pow, you know. So that's how it goes. Are you big on comics? Yes, no.
Well, like, you know, manga, manhwa, that sort of stuff, but not the classic superhero comics and such. Unfortunately,
you would have loved the previous BETBOOM tournament. It was South Park themed.
Oh,
I dressed myself as a cartman. You know, I'm gonna send you some pictures. Yeah, it was really fun. Right?
That's really cool.
I know that you're a big fan. I remember it though. Yeah, bummer we didn't get to work the last one together though. I guess we can get some comic book themes here as well. So it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, that should not be the biggest problem. The mid matchup Chu1 obviously against Supreme, and it's kind of the same with every Coddle laning against anyone. It's literally two mid laners. They're gonna farm next to each other because they kind of don't want to stand anywhere close to each other.
We did have a couple of aggressiveness on yesterday, but speaking of, Hanskin almost dies. That's 5 stacks from Zibe.
Yeah, they put Milan topside, and they put Immersion on that Hoodwink in the bottom lane instead. Of course, Treant against 2 melee heroes is not that bad, considering he has a ridiculous base attack damage.
It's great. You run in with the Leech Seed, and suddenly they can't do anything to you, and you're doing actually massive amounts of damage. I'm just not liking that Zibe used so much mana early on, because you do need it once you get level 3. But if you are going through all of the enemy region, you're still gonna be okay-ish with it.
Well, how will they be able to handle this lane? So, what lane do you think is going to be the most important to keep your eyes on? Bottom or top?
I feel like top is more important. We might get more kills on the bottom lane if Alliance plays passively on the top lane, but top lane, Viper needs to do well for Into the Breach lineup to make sense. That is how I feel. So overall, bottom lane might have more kills, but top lane, it's important for the Viper to do well, because if he doesn't, then this whole lineup of Into the Breach is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it's really about shutting down the Faceless Void, make sure he starts his farming later, get that tower probably around the 8-9 minute mark, and then start spreading out to clear as much as possible. I think this might even be a game where you try and get like the Shard on Viper at a decent timing, just for the extra push, because that's... They are an early game lineup, but their building hitting is very horrible.
It's really bad. It is really bad though. I don't know how early you can get away with it. You talked about some defensive items. I don't know necessarily if you go for the greaves. I think you do, considering you don't have like a Murano on your team to get it for you. But overall, you do need a couple of items on the Viper. One of those also being a BKB. So I'm thinking that the shard isn't going to be coming out as early. I guess it's going to be into the breach, having to use the catapult waves to get the early towers down.
Yeah, would you consider possibly like maybe making the Treant get Greaves instead, and then like Viper go for a pipe immediately? Because the only early damage that they're gonna have is magic from the Lash anyway. So if you get a pipe at a good timing, you kind of neglect the like Bloodstone, Lash, I'ma clean up the team fight shenanigans.
If the Viper is gonna go for the let's help my teammates type of build, if he doesn't go greedy for like a Dragonlance BKB, because I have seen it in the past, you know, in this meta as well, then I would say Pipe might be actually better than the Grease. But expecting your Treant to get the Grease, that's gonna take some time.
I believe in the Treant. I mean, he's already got himself 5 last hits. That's the same amount as the Faceless Void you're seeing right there. Charlie being bullied all the way back. Hanskin's actually probably going to get first blooded here in the top lane. He doesn't have the cogs available, and Milan gets first blood secured. They're already pushing in the tower. One king with advantage into the breach. Starting off, especially this top lane, incredibly favorable.
Yeah, you can see Milan, he did steal that kill, because he's probably going to be making the Greaves. I understand he's getting the cog skills as well, has 6 CS. He had 5, then he got the 6th one, and now he gets the first blood. So yeah, now everything makes sense here, DK Truman. It is going to be the tree going for Guardian Greaves, and he wants to steal every single kill here in the lane.
No, secure. Not steal.
Okay.
We secure kills here.
I apologize. I'm not going to be making a mistake like that ever again here.
As a Rubik player, it's always just secure. Fade Bolt at 200 HP enemy while they're surrounded. Yes. Otherwise, he would have escaped easily. Hanskin, though, he is dropping very low. Will be popping, I think, a Fairy Fire to try and stay alive. No, it was the Magic Stick. But yeah, Hanskin's out of mana, out of HP. Charlie's out of HP. It's just this top lane is over.
Yeah, it's very over. Charlie is out of hope as well. He has 5 CS. Imagine how he's feeling right now. He knew that he was gonna be bad against the Viper, but he didn't know they were gonna give him a clockwork to not really help him in this lane.
Yeah, he's being out-farmed currently by the Treant, which is hilarious. First of all, and he just can't reach the creeps. If he gets anywhere close, he just gets bullied out. Towards mid, though, that Lesh from Chiwon is doing a good job, but currently even a lot of denies, because the auto attack damage of the Coddle is very weak. But that top lane, there's just... He needs to swap lanes or something to try and recover. He's even going to get taken down by Milan for Milan's second kill of the game. That's going to be a big fat treat.
Yeah, a very fat tree. He again secured that kill. We saw that the production didn't want to look at that top lane, and really it is getting kind of nasty. Now the Clockwork is stealing the wave, pulling it behind the tower to get any kind of CS. The problem is your Void cannot live through it. He has had 5 CS for a very long time, and now he gets the 6th one, so that's 20% better than just a second ago. So I'm gonna say it's looking better for Charlie.
Yeah, that's value right there. Unfortunately, the Treant in the meantime is getting kind of very annoying. Zibby's got mana boots now, so their harass in the lane will be able to consistently continue, and Supreme, he'll be just farming up the jungle as much as possible now that he's got a couple of levels. Nice Thunder Strike onto Pono, but can they do much more? There's no Orb of Corrosion, it seems, onto Otaker, so there is no chase to continue. Doesn't even go for the Orb of Venom.
The big thing for me is that Lash did do well in the mid lane. The Coddle is losing in terms of CS, which is usually they go even, and then Coddle goes into the jungle faster and wins. But because Lash did so well in terms of CSing in the lane, has 15 denies as well, it is the lane going in his favor. And I think that is quite big, that you don't lose every single lane.
The bottom lane is not necessarily a loss for S4. He's still getting his farm. Kind of what you'd expect. There's a chance, of course, that either side kills the opposing side, but considering Monkey has... I think Monkey has an attack range of 300 and Mars has an attack range of 250. So you still have slightly more attack range, but you can always pretty much hit the other when they're hitting you. You have to be a little bit careful on both sides in that lane.
For sure. And you saw the Lina there telling our viewers to click on the banner below. This Lina is haunting us in this meta just as much as Trion is haunting this Viper.
Yeah, so there is going to get taken down. Milan needs to run away. That's going to be a second kill, it seems, and indeed it does get secured. 2 kills, 1 for Punlo, 1 for Chiwon, and that Lash is pretty big. Chiwon, of course, needs to try and make plays with the rest of his team so that they can create some space for the Faceless Void to catch back up in terms of farm. It's always wonderful how gigantic these trees are compared to the heroes when you look at it from close range.
Yeah, like sequoias, it seems like. Man, I would really like to go to the US to see those national parks as well. The trees in my country are very small, you know. It's not even close.
I'm actually going next year.
Oh, awesome.
In the summer, so specifically to the Sequoia Forest.
Man, I envy you for sure. Now I have to do it myself. Like, get the money to the side and go to the Sequoia Forest, right? That's the that's really nice. I personally don't understand people who go to America, go to the big cities. Like, I can find big cities anywhere, you know. But these trees, they really intrigue me.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of nature in different countries that is just beautiful to watch. I live in a country that consists of very little nature, so anything.
But you have no nature?
No. Everything that we have is artificially made. Like, we even lift up areas from the ocean to make land. So everything's flat, boring, and I guess we got tulips, but that's about it.
Okay. You get to know your country so that you love it more. That's how it goes. Though, so far so good for Alliance. I'm gonna say that considering how the top lane went, it's not half bad currently in the game because the Viper did die. Those are nice rotations from Delesh, and Trion, he's aware that he needs to make this happen. He's the playmaker currently, at least until the Mars gets the blink. Mars can pretty much only make plays on the bottom part of the map, so it's Trion to equalize the horrificness of the top lane, and so far it has gone well.
They have recovered nicely, net with advantage even in Alliance's favor, and we did talk, of course, that into the breach they kind of are desperate to win the laning stage, considering that Chiwon's recovered so nicely. The winning part's actually reduced significantly towards mid. That heal is keeping him alive for a second longer, but not against the secondary ult. And that's the beauty of Alliance. If you think you survive one spell, they have way too many left to throw at you.
Yeah, that's just so nice, having so many nice spells against the Coddle that he pretty much can't do anything against. You know, once you've been caught in a chrono, there's gonna be so much follow-up that there's very little chances of you surviving through it. And it is gonna be a Viper with the Dragonlance. So Zibbe going greedy, he sees like my Coddle isn't doing a good job, we need the second carry as well. So not gonna be having the Guardian Greaves, not gonna be having a pipe here. He doesn't care that people are gonna be, say, in the chrono or dying. He just wants to hit.
Are going to find themselves clockwork. Should be a free kill, but then again, you know, Hanskin doesn't really matter that much if he gets taken down once, twice, or 17 times. It is he's just there to try and gain a bit of vision and maybe even distract him from taking the tower, because the tower after 11 minutes has not fallen yet, which now it does, but that's a very long time considering how dominant they were in the lane, and Faceless Void is slowly but surely catching up.
I mean, we did talk about how bad they are at pushing towers. They're good at defending them, though, so I think this is the idea now for Into the Breach. They take the top tower. It doesn't give you much potential to get kills, but it does give you a lot of area to farm. So, considering that their heroes are pretty solid at farming, you know, Monkey King is okay, Lesh is great, you are going to be focusing on getting that gold lead up, which you need if you want the win probability to go a little bit in your favor currently, because we can see that the Alliance is heavily favored, and for a good reason, because if you're not ahead with this Into the Breach lineup, you're having a bad time.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to fall further behind. There are some pretty okay spell steals this game. What do you think would be your best spell steal?
The one to hold constantly is Illuminate. I'm completely fine with that one, you know. But of course
the Ags Illuminate, like the ulti Illuminate, then, like, because then you don't have to stand there and cast. If Coddle uses his ulti first and then illuminates, because if you steal normal Illuminate, you have to cast.
That is true, but it's still good at pushing out the waves, which is what the Rubik wants to do. In a fight, of course, the best one is gonna be the Overgrowth, and if it's about catching, then it's the Bushwhack or the jump from the Monkey King. That is also a pretty solid one that the Rubik does like to have. But for now, I think Illuminate is like the top dog.
Yeah, I think probably. I mean, to be fair, the Boundless Strike as well is a nice one. The downside of it, of course, is the cooldown is incredibly long. I think it's like 24 seconds or something. So it's not superb for multiple uses in the team fight, though. Top lane, they're going to get a quick catch on Zibby. He is an easy target, and they will go in for more immersion. Will be a secondary taken down. There's also a lot of damage coming out from Pondo's Illuminate Blast, and a double kill secured for Alliance. And it feels like they're pretty much, I mean, they're not like in a big lead, but they feel very comfortable at this stage.
They're in control. Blink on the Mars, that is the time to go. They did go for a smoke. They knew they wanted the kill. And you know that Into the Breach lineup is going to be split around the map. The thing is, this Kotl didn't have that great of a game, so that he's going around killing people, and now it's definitely being a problem.
Tried to steal Overgrowth. Luckily enough, Milan made sure that that was not a possibility by throwing out those nice slows immediately afterwards, and they will find a quick kill on to Pondo in return. But I think Lesh, is he done with the blood? He's probably done with the Bloodstone at this stage.
It's looking good for him, considering that the courier just brought him a TP, and none of the Bloodstone things. He has 6.7k net worth. He should be done with that one. But for now, you don't really have to go forward. If you're Alliance, you just need to make sure that you're not giving away way too many kills. That's why Into the Breach, whenever they see a kill, they're gonna use an ulti. It doesn't matter, even 2 of those, just to get a hero off the map, because you want to get ahead with this lineup and be able for your Viper to stand his ground. And he got the Dragon Lance, but now he's like, yeah, I can't stand my ground with this one. I need the mech. I need a way to survive. So he's gonna be reverting back to the utility build.
Yeah, I do really hope that they get a pipe at a decent timing, though. There's a catch on towards mid. Sharpshooter gets stolen, and in return, we'll go for the sharpshooter shot, but there will not be any kills secured so far. The sustain on Into the Breach side is pretty nice, though. You got like Treant, you got Coddle, soon Guardian Greaves. They add in a pipe to the mix. You also have the life steal from the Monkey King. So they are actually have a lot of sustain on their side, whereas the Alliance is none. I guess. Yeah. Bloodstone, nice hook shot in, and with the catch as well, they will find. Looks like the kill onto Sabine. He's still alive for a little bit longer, and Overgrowth. He's gone. Keeps him going. The Chrono comes up onto 2, but it will not connect onto the Coddle. And Charlie actually went a little bit deep there. The stolen Overgrowth in return. Beautiful catch. The Spear from S4 will find himself supreme, and they need to disengage right now and Into the Breach. Shotaker with the Wukongs will at least keep the remaining Alliance side out of there. There's just so many alts, and even if the Rubik even gets to steal an alt, there's just too much control in those fights.
Charlie gets a 3-mana Chrono, and he just continues chasing on the Coddle. That is that is a fight.
Like, yeah,
it's a 3-mana Chrono.
But Coddle is not here. Go.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised he lived through this so much. The big thing is that this Clockwork dodged the Illuminate with a hook shot. If that doesn't happen, you don't have this great fight. In the end, S4, that was a beautiful catch coming out from Coddle. They're putting so much emphasis on it. But really nice spell usages overall coming out from Alliance. Even though targeting of heroes was a little bit weird there, you still get 2 heroes. You connect with a couple of spells on a huge amount of heroes. You're gonna still be happy with it, and you are buying time for the later portions of the game where the Void is definitely gonna be the top dog.
Void is creeping up in net worth. He's got the mills are now done, and now Charlie, that's his farming items done. So he can farm incredibly fast. So Faceless Void, of course, has superb movement. So he'll be able to get top net worth. I mean, maybe not top net worth, because Chiwon is doing a very good job with 2k over his safe laner. But he will definitely creep up, and I think he'll be able to overtake Otaker soon enough.
The way you said Charlie reminded me of the unicorn Charlie. You know that one?
Charlie,
we're going to Candy Mountain? No?
Mountain, Charlie.
Yeah. Okay, so you know. I knew you'd know.
Oh, they stole my freaking kidney.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
It really was. It really was. Anyways, glad I remember it. Right, I will have to watch it after we're done with the games today. But overall, the game is still even. You know, despite all of the things that went well for Alliance in the early mid game, they still cannot take down towers, and that is a problem because with the clockwork, you want to be able to open up the map so that you can go for kills, and that is the one big downside of the Alliance lineup. Once they use their spells, they can't really commit on a tower because of the tree end.
They don't have the best push, but well, I mean, they have Lash, which is like great push, but yeah, it's always a little bit scary to put the Lash out in front, especially considering you have so many frontliners on your side with the Mars, with the Clockwork, with even the Faceless Void for that matter. Keeping the Lash there is not ideal, even though into the Breach they don't have like super heavy burst damage on their side. It's more long duration team fight, try to extend get rid of the enemy's resources so that they have no more HP and mana at the end of the fight, and then try and clean it up.
You catch the coddle, and then it's like that, because if you don't kill the keeper, it's a problem, right? For Into the Breach, they would want a concentrated fight for sure, which is tough to get when you're fighting against Arena and the Faceless Void and you want the fight to be in one spot. It's very hard though. That Clockwork kill, I don't know if you saw something, cut down the tree. There was nothing close to it. Like, what the hell was that? When he got caught by the bushwhack.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
really
bushwhack
weird.
is I've had situations where bushwhack doesn't connect to a tree that actually is there, and situations where it does connect to trees that I've never even seen respond. So it's there's some heroes that have weird interactions, especially tree interactions. I've also seen timber saws with like weird chains. Or especially the one where a timber saw sees like a massive group of trees and you throw a chain through and there's no tree that it connects to. That one always hurts to see.
Looking at the odds here, definitely favoring the side of Alliance. And for those viewers that want to click on the banner below, definitely can. $15 free. I don't know if you remember the patch where it said like removed that one tree next to those points that they were shrines. I remember one of my friends calling me and like, did Icerock lose his mind? Like, why did he remove one tree? It ended up being a pretty big one, and now especially when you play against the Hoodwink and there's a random tree that you get caught in, you learn to respect those kind of decisions in the map making. But at the time, it really seemed like a crazy thing to do.
Yeah, it's just like when, you know, Warlock gets a buff and he gets +1 armor, and you're like, really?
Awesome. Now he's super strong. He can't die. Like, physical damage doesn't even work. Oh, engagement.
Oh, the bushwhack just on the edge. Wugongs gets cut. Oh, the tree gets cut. No, oh, it was such a good Wugongs. He gets the BKB Wugongs strike off, but he's just gonna get taken down. Wugongs is not gonna do anything, and that right there is pure pain. The arena extends past the rim and it catches the monkey in the middle of his cast. S4, accidental genius, will be able to shut down that entire team fight from Into the Breach.
Accidental? Man, he was looking for that play for the entirety of the game. He knew that was gonna happen for sure. They even reduced the amount of trees that get taken down by the arena, but still, the ones super close to it, which the one on the Monkey King was at, it does get taken down. I guess you need a lot of lumber to build an arena like that.
Yeah, but, well, would you make it with lumber or just stone? I don't know. It's like a old Roman arena. Wait, Mars is... Yeah, he's Roman, right?
Roman,
no.
Yeah, he's Roman.
Yes, he's Roman. So that would be probably just like brick. Well, not brick, but like big slab.
Why does he take the trees down then? Like just to create space for the arena?
Yeah, just to create space. I mean,
that's
I
wasteful
think
though.
you also make it with a lot of lumber, to be fair. If you've ever watched the old Coliseum, because it's now completely broken open, because no one is fighting in there. Like the lower part, it's all big lumber, so yeah, they also need a lot of wood to build it.
Okay, so that I was right. Yeah, I'm glad I was. Thank you for.
You are also right.
Okay, good. And I don't know where he gets the stone from though, but still, game looking great for Alliance. Even if they lose this tower, the catch from to the breach isn't that great, right? They would need like a blink on immersion, something along those lines to be able to utilize the mid lane tower being down. And right now, their lineup, you know, all of this speed that they would have around the map, defending towers and stuff, it all kind of falls down the drain now when the towers start dropping on their side. And bottom lane drop, this is gonna make an angle for Alliance to go for the mid lane. So next time, we might see Alliance smoke into the bottom part of the jungle and initiate from that angle just to get this tower down. I think it would be a smart move. It kind of seals the deal for the for the mid game here.
I'm a little bit worried about the impact of the Coddle. He's got Spirit Vessel without charges, bots, and a 4-staff. Top net worth of his team. But it just, those items, it feels very support, especially because you don't have Spirit Vessel charges. So it does very little. Lesh also has his BKB now done, so Spirit Vesseling, the Lesh doesn't even really do that much anymore because he can just purge it off easily. As 4 is also done with his BKB, so it's just... The Spirit Vessel is great, but it's when you get aggressive, when you constantly keep pushing for team fights. However, you're against a team fight lineup. It's just not ideal right now.
It's not good. It's definitely not good. And as you mentioned, that's your strongest hero that currently is just a speedy guy around the map. And we already talked about it, that Alliance have a billion things to catch him. You know, sometimes if you're fast on your fingers as a Rubik, you might even cancel his 4-staff. So that might not even work. Alliance though, they go for a smoke. They're not going to be going towards the bottom lane, but rather towards top, where they do have more vision. But here, unfortunately, no one is going to be at.
Well, there is a Monkey King heading their direction, jumping through the trees, and they know where he's at. The Urina get thrown out. Otakar does manage to get his BKB off, and luckily enough, he was not standing on a tree, otherwise he would have been stunned for 4 seconds. They're going to jump towards mid, knowing that the Monkey King is topside, and secure the tier 1 tower.
And no BKB as well.
Oof. Had a nice catch. And of course, yeah, the BKB usage that came through is always a plus. Roche
and stolen sharpshooter. Stolen sharpshooter. So Alliance might have some issues, you know, bringing heroes down from 100 to 0, especially the tankier ones. But with the sharpshooter, their burst damage is insane.
That's going to be the first ages of the game being secured for Alliance. I don't really think that there's going to be anyone fast or crazy enough to go towards the pit now.
Yeah, you can't get there in time. You would need the Viper to be prepared, and you know that even though with that vision on the left, you're going to be coming from the other side, so you're not really going to have good way to engage and to assess the situation before you do.
What? So, into the breach, they're 4k behind right now. They lost the first Roshan. What is their game plan? How can they try and recover this game?
The way that they itemized, it's all about spreading the map. You need to spread the map and get to the point where you have a few hexes, and then you can go with that one. Nice usage there of the Nether Toxin. You remove the bash from the Faceless Void, and then you go for a TP. He doesn't want to use the Chrono, because he doesn't need to. He has a clockwork.
Yeah, there's too many TP interrupts. All of the heroes have it, which you don't see too often in this patch anymore, because there's a lot of like undyings and stuff that get heavily picked up. Oh, nice catch from S4. They will melt Supreme in quick succession, and that is the Coddle down. That's pretty much the most important hero to take down if you're going to go for the high ground push. Luckily enough, they're still tier 2 towers standing, and they're being healed up constantly by Milan, so there shouldn't be any high ground push just yet, but you definitely will be very annoyed by Coddle when it gets to that stage.
He's the most important hero overall because he's the one that is pushing the side lanes. He's the one that is applying pressure on the side of Alliance, and if he is dead, you can just do whatever the hell you want. And our viewers, if they want to, they can click on the banner below, get those $15 free. But anyways, Alliance now, it's just easy for them to play the game, right? If it's easy for them to kill the Coddle, and once the Coddle is dead, into the breach are just gonna be behind their own towers doing nothing.
Well, they are just diving for kills at this stage. Xuan still has the Aegis for about 3 minutes. And of course, Diabolic Edict is very good for tower pushing, even against the Treant's healing, because I think it does pure damage, and the Treant gives like 12 armor or something. Coming through, Wukong's thrown down, but Hanskel's got a 4 staff. Wukong's is wasted. Okay, that's pretty painful.
That's a spell that now can't do anything, and that's your only real team fight spell. You have the overgrowth, but really, without the Wukong's command, you're not going to win the fight, because you're not going to be able to kill heroes. Though, looking at the current gold situation into the breach, considering their lineup needs to be ahead, if they were like 3-4k gold ahead, I would be afraid of them. They're 10k gold behind. This is Alliance game through and through, and we can see Keeper, he wants to go for that Hex, but not before he dies now.
Yep, 100-0. Chrono has been expended, but again, you know, boohoo. They've got Mars Arena, they've got Hookshot from Clockwork, they have plenty of other tools in the bag if need be. Faces Void with the Manta style just to get rid of the overgrowth. Honestly, they have a lot of annoying little debuffs. The slow from Coddle as well can be pretty annoying. And the lights, it seems Viper's getting jumped somewhere. That's going to be Zibit taken down. Yeah, I don't really see it like into the breach. We both pretty much expected it, right? They need to win the laning stage, otherwise they're done for. They kind of even out the laning stage, and then it's just easy pickings for Alliance.
It seems to be it. They're gonna go for S4, just with the BKB is completely fine.
Oh, nice dodge there, but Xuan is very scary. Still has the Aegis for another minute as well. So don't really mind if he loses his first life.
So that's very hard to happen now into the breach, especially, you know, Coddle is good for pushing out, Hoodwink is good for killing people. If you're missing Coddle, you can push out the waves and prepare for a fight. If you lose the Hoodwink, even if you prepare for a fight properly, you're not going to be able to kill them. So, you know, everything is a problem for Into the Breach, actually. The biggest one, though, for me, is that the Viper cannot stand this ground. That is the thing. The second that it came down to it, that the Viper cannot stand this ground, that means that Into the Breach can never win a fight.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, I know it's not done yet, but just game number 2. What do you think they would need to adjust on the side of Into the Breach? Because I don't really see any way.
That's a good question.
Going back in their favor.
That's a good question for sure, because I was like, DK Truman, like, how do you mean it's not done yet? It's looking pretty done from where I'm sitting, but yeah, it's very hard to come back from this one. It's very hard to find some good things about it. I think Into the Breach, they just went for a different kind of lineup. They probably wanted to play the Coddle and just force-picked it without having much thought of how to actually utilize it and put it into the draft. Because this isn't necessarily a Coddle draft that I would like to have with me, right? I would want to have a bit more aggressive supports, both of them to go with me, and Treant is really not the type.
Yeah, they also don't really, like, they have Viper, which is sort of a frontliner, but they don't have, like, a Centaur jump in stomp or someone to pull the team fight apart. They just have stand there, do stuff. Like, throw range spells, and then Monkey King jumps in, and then Monkey King gets blasted completely by Chrono or Arena or Hookshot. And it's just, the front line is not there. The team fight is severely lacking. And even if they would win the laning stage, their push would also be very
Yeah, that is true. That is true. You need to consistently be stronger with this kind of lineup, so it goes down the drain. And the thing is, to be stronger, if your lanes don't go super well, and we have seen teams adapt to whatever lanes they play. Alliance, they didn't feed too much on the top lane, and they responded as fast as they could. You need to have like a CM, you know, instead of the Trident Protector, to be able to run around and get kills with the Scuttle, so that you can get ahead, even if things go slightly wrong. Because Dota is the type of game where things tend to not go exactly the way you planned it.
Yeah, obviously, you know, game plan. That's kind of what most teams like to do, is they have a plan from this is how we're going to play the game, but there's always a plan B or a plan C. That's why you tend to see similar lineups like the Into the Breach lineup, but then they last pick a TB, for instance, where everything goes wrong, we still have TB to fall back on. But Monkey King in general against the Faceless Void, it's like Wukong's, if you get it off before Chrono, you can survive it. If you don't get it off before Chrono, you're very dead.
Yeah, very much dead. You probably, at this point, you'll probably need the Wukong's command and the BKB before the Chrono, and then it is even a question if you will live. And even if you live, it doesn't mean that you want to fight. It just means that you survived, and now you don't have anything to fight with. The Faceless Void, with this kind of a farm, he definitely does.
And this is a Faceless Void that got destroyed in the early laning stage. 5 creep kills after, what, 5 minutes? Yeah, he definitely caught back up Charlie on the farming game. Still behind Chi1, who 7-0-6. Pretty impressive for a player that has been out of professional play for about a year. Wukong gets thrown down next to the Wukong's command. They're going to go in. Charlie's got the Chrono, doesn't want to blow it. Hookshot comes in on Supreme, gets the catch, forces it back to his Charlie. He's going to go for the sprint away with his ulti, but Supreme is going to be chased by Charlie the entire time. Overgrowth to keep him alive. Supreme is running up the hill, but there's enemies on the other side as the BKB wears off. The kills get secured. And they're fighting in different directions. Milan is going to get spotted. Dualtica is caught inside the trees. He's going to pop his BKB, try and man fight, but he doesn't have the Wukongs. He doesn't have anything left in the tank. Chi1 with the double kill is godlike right now, and that's going to be the high ground push with only the Hoodwink to defend.
Yeah, GG's gotta be called. Supreme, in that fight, he was running away everywhere. Like, left, right, and the enemies, they're on all sides. Wherever he decided to run to, he was just gone. But yeah, at that point, the game was pretty much done. I like how you said the Faceless Void got destroyed in the lanes. You know the tilting thing? Now you tell to Zibe, or you just say it. On which lane was this Faceless Void? Why is he so strong? Imagine how bad he would feel after that one, for sure.
Yeah, that's never fun, getting absolutely schlacked that way, considering the laning stage started so well. But that's just that's the power of the draft, and also kind of this patch. There's a lot of games where laning stage goes one way, and then once the team that plays for slightly later holds on long enough, they come back into the game, because I think creeps right now in the jungle are just too much value, and there's too many ways to come back from a deficit as a safe laner for you to really be in an advantageous situation. Here we see the matchups between the two sides, and Chi1 0 deaths, nice S4 0 deaths as well, so definitely both of them shining brightly in this game.
Yeah, for me, Chuan is definitely the MVP. We're probably gonna see it once they turn the page, because him winning the mid lane was the big thing for sure. That is what decided the game for me. When the second I saw the Kotl not doing well, I was like, this is bad, especially with Supreme also being the snowball type player. So if he doesn't start snowballing with these type of, and he has a hero that is snowballing as well, and he's not snowballing, it means that something is gonna go terribly wrong, as it did.
Yeah, it definitely, Chi1 looked very good, made those early rotations up towards top when they started to, when they knew that Charlie's lane was over, and he started making rotations together with his supports, especially the Hoodwink was also on top of his game with those hook shots, and then they started opening up enough space for Charlie to be able to get back into the game. So really good job from Alliance. Nice showing so far. And there you have it. MVP Chi1. Yep, not really that surprising. Death losses time 0.00. That is pretty much 0. And that is still a perfect job from the mid laner on the Alliance
It's
side.
Exactly 0. It's exactly 0. it's basically zero. Yeah, great performance from him. Great performance from Alliance. They set themselves up for success, and the high aggression that Into the Breach were gunning for just didn't work out.
Yep, but that, of course, does mean that we are, for now, going towards a break. We'll be right back. Don't forget, there is more Dota to be watched after the break on this stream. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to, well, what's about to be map number 2 between Alliance and Into the Breach. My name is DK Truman. I am once again joined by Harry Freak. And Harry Freak, what is your big takeaway after game number 1?
That Division 2 of Western Europe is just so
Pride is a really strong region. Hey, I'm just gonna say that I bought the D2 Hustlers pack way before even their players bought it. So I'm there with the D2 Hustlers. They're definitely gonna make it to Div 1. I believe in that. But I also believe in that game number 2 will be should be a lot closer, I would say. I think they're probably going to adjust their draft on the Into the Breach side, because game 1, you know, we wrote kind of the timeline of that game, what was going to happen, and we followed exactly that timeline to where it, unfortunately for Into the Breach, ended up to be.
Yep, but luckily for Alliance, you know, they saw the problem, they dealt with it, and Chuan for me was the standout performer overall. The main reason why the game looked so easy. I think if it goes late anyways, it does look easy, but the game looked so easy, like Into the Breach didn't have any chances. So probably now are going to be switching things up. They start losing the unit team fight with.
Okay, that's a Rubik pick right there. Okay.
Surprising.
Very surprising in this match. Never would have seen that one coming. Yeah. I mean, what can you say about it? The hero exists. Every team first phase picks it pretty much if it's not banned. I don't actually think it gets banned that often, because everyone needs to get rid of Lina first and foremost. And depending on what team you're up against, the Broodmother as well. And considering we know from the side of Into the Breach that they love playing with the good old off-lane Itb Brood, it's no real surprise that they quickly get rid of it.
Everyone plays the Brood now. Come on, every single offlaner plays the Brood, because it has been in the meta for so long. If your offlaner doesn't play a Brood, it's crippling your team so much that he's probably gotten kicked so far. Real offlaners, you know, they just pick these blink stun heroes like Ascor does. He did with the Mars, now he goes for the Centaur. Even they play the how powerful it has been for the past 6 months, maybe even more. But I like the openings here. I like the ability for the Nature's Prophet to be put in the offlane and into the safe lane, because it has been strong in both positions. On the safe lane, we usually see a Gleipnir. On the offlane, we usually see an Aghanim Scepter. Either way, people are going to be rooted.
Yeah, definitely think that MP is in general strong because it can go mid, off lane, safe lane. Whereas Alliance, they pick up 2 heroes that you kind of pretty much already know exactly what they're going to be playing. That's probably your off lane duo. Could still have a little bit of flex, and I would expect that you might even get to see a ban from Into the Breach onto that nasty little Ricky there, because the Ricky Mirana combination has been playing in a lot of regions at the moment, and it's very annoying to deal with. It's not like you can't handle it at all, but it does bring like, you have to itemize for it, you have to buy like ridiculous amount of sentries and whatnot to try and find that Ricky every single time. Most teams tend to just not want to deal with that headache.
Yeah, and especially you have a Nature's Prophet, so some split push is bound to happen. You don't want to be just standing in the trees all the time, because Ricky is a hero that never really shows on the map. So you want to at least be somewhat active. So I would be surprised if Into the Breach don't consider taking it out, especially because you have the first pick in the second phase.
They ban out the good old classic immersion Earth Spirit. A little bit sad, because I love watching his Earth Spirit. I think it's his most picked hero during the TPC as well. I think it's in general his most picked hero. And it's a hero you don't, honestly, it's so specialist. You don't get to see many people going for it. Jerax, of course, was the name that always used to go for it. But wasn't he trying with old guys? Old G? What was it?
Old G? Jerax, did he play with them?
I don't remember. What team
I
was
knew
Jerax?
it.
playing with? Where
Like
is
he played with EG earlier, but
Yeah.
now I don't think he's playing.
That's a good Google away.
Yeah, that's we can still use Google there, so that's quite nice. You remember you mentioned immersion Earth Spirit, and you mentioned Milan's Phoenix. I've always been a fan of the immersion Phoenix, right? That for me he has been amazing on that hero. I remember even when he was like rank 500 back in pubs, and he was really good. There was definitely chances of him making it into the big leagues, and he is there now. But his Phoenix was phenomenal in the early days of his career, or at least from once I remember him.
Of course, that's the advantage of having someone who's actually played with the pros instead of me, who's still just getting absolutely smacked right on the edge of Immortal.
I'm getting smacked now. If I was to start playing now quite a lot, goodbye MMR, right? Because we're getting a lot of casting, we're getting a lot of Dota, but playing it, well, that's a little bit harder to get the games in.
We're getting old. Everything starts to hurt. My reflexes are falling.
No. We are young in heart, and that's what matters.
Yeah, unfortunately, the body won't keep up. But we'll get to see some interesting bans. The DK gets taken out. DK has also made a pretty big increase with the Manta-style DK build that has been making its rounds. That one is still weird, but it makes a lot of sense, but still weird because it's just three... Especially if you get the Ags, big black dragons just hammering away, throwing out those slows constantly. Very hard to deal with.
For sure. It is not easy to deal with that one. He pushes out lanes so easily. He benefits so much from attack speed as well, because that's what the DK is lacking. He usually does have solid amount of damage. And then when you have a hero like that has a solid amount of attack, well, then you just can't kill him. You can't run away from him, and you're just dead. I mean, that at that point you just accept your destiny. But it's not going to be a Ricky. It's going to be a Clockwork. Again, it is a Nature's Prophet catching tool, and I guess when you have these blink initiators, I'd always much rather have some vision, considering you can't get a Beastmaster because you already have an offlaner. The clock is the next best thing.
Yeah, Clockwork, we saw it last game as well, was pretty effective for the Alliance side. We do get to see an Ember, so Into the Breach with a little bit more of an aggressive edge themselves. That's going to most likely be their mid laner, so you can go for a backline jump. Mirana is a hero that you can pretty easily kill if you get on top of her, depending on, of course, the Mirana item build. And with the Marcy chosen here, would probably expect this to be a support Marcy, but there are also instances of it being an off lane.
There are. I do expect it to be a support, though I haven't seen it in a core role for quite some time. Kind of does the same thing as in a support role. You still buy a BKB, you still go on top of someone, you still buff the other hero as well. Nature's Prophet is going to be benefiting from it quite a lot, but you might go for another hero that is going to benefit from the sidekick. Something that comes to mind is the Drow Sniper. There are options for those, though the other lineup does have these run at you heroes. So in my mind, Into the Breach probably put the Nature's Prophet in the off lane and get something a bit tankier as their carry. What comes to mind is a life stealer, things like that, just to be able to survive this onslaught of spells.
Yeah, also pretty decent against the SF. Honestly, life stealer would be a very good call here, or as you said, the Drow Ranger is still not too problematic. Both sides have a lot of jump and backline catch with the Marcy, Nate's Prophet and Ember on one side, and Center Stampede with hookshot and leaps, and they also have plenty of catch. So there's a lot of who's going to get the initiation in this game, and in that case, it is going to probably slightly favor the Clockwork, as you said, the team with the vision. It's going to be very important to have trying to find the enemy team.
These are the very classic lineups of the current meta. You have one lineup that pushes the lanes better, right, constantly gets closer, but then the other lineup has a Clockwork or a Beastmaster or something along those lines that gives you the vision for the better initiation. So even though your map is smaller, even though your vision overall or positioning overall isn't better, you're still gonna have better vision, and that's how it evens it out. Overall, currently in the patch, I've mostly seen the Clockworks take the game in this situation. So, you know, favoring into the breach a little bit. Also, it's an SF versus an Ember. Even if you don't lane it that way, the SF Clockwork is still a formidable lane. So Charlie or Chuan, whoever takes it, is gonna have a grand time at the start.
Yeah, it's that's one thing that's also still an advantage, of course, of the SF. You could technically possibly flex it, considering the enemy picked... okay, wait, they banned the Drow, actually. So they're thinking this might be a mid lane SF. That's quite an interesting thought, because most of the time, as you mentioned, the SF plus Clockwork lane is very strong. It's also decent to kill off the, if this is an off-lane Nature's Prophet, to kill off the Treants and whatnot, and going for Drow yourself in that case would definitely not be a bad choice, considering SF has incredible armor gain.
For sure. But, you know, Ember versus the SF, Ember definitely struggles, so you're expecting that they pick this one just to counter him. You know, Chuan coming from Southeast Asia, they like to win the mid lane. They don't like to just make it stale. And considering that he already beat Supreme once, there isn't a reason not to give him a favorable matchup and go for it again. But they are pretty sure that this is a carry Nature's Prophet, which I wouldn't be 100% certain of, but I do like the bans. Having also a Vision Hero or overwhelming teamfight really would be quite nice for Into the Breach.
Well, it's going to be the Mars, so it is indeed the safe lane and Nature's Prophet. Then you probably will keep the SF on the safe lane and go for a mid matchup. What would you go for as a mid lane? Would you just go for another Spirit or another choice?
Spirits, no. Void Spirit and the Storm really aren't that great. Have definitely not been something that we see a lot. From time to time we see a Void Spirit or a Storm, but Ember has been the winner of the patch for sure. I don't know if you still play the SF. This is a weird Mars pick though. I don't like it into the clock in particular. It's good against the Centaur though. But against the Ember, I feel like if you're just going to counter, if your idea is to counter him in lane, just put the SF there. That's the thing.
The arena is always nice against the SF, so you can get the right clicks through, and H Profit in return can get them onto the SF. I guess that's the main thought process. But they're actually going for the Wraith King that you mentioned in the previous match.
Yep.
As a possibility. So they are going to go for that mid SF. Yep. I mean, to be fair, most people don't go for the mid lane SF. I haven't seen a mid lane SF in quite a decently long time, but it is.
We had it yesterday.
Okay, you had it yesterday. I haven't seen it that much. It may tend to be safe lane for the games that I've been watching then. But
it is.
It does bring a lot of push, and their Roche potential is incredibly high for the Alliance side. And it's also a Chiwan hero that he really loves to play. Even in the old Mineski days, he went for it a lot. So looking forward to it. Though I have a big question. Is it then a physical damage mid, or is it a magic damage SF?
I don't think anyone goes for full magic damage SF nowadays, but I do think that at some point in the game he's gonna have both the blink, both the arcane blink and the BKB. You don't go for Yules and stuff like that, but you do go like Dragonlance BKB, and then sometimes people do get a blink. I think that would be a very smart choice in this game.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably expect it as well, considering Wraith King is going to bring in a lot of physical damage. But then again, if you have to, no, you probably need a little bit of playmaking from your mid laner as well. Go around, get some team fights so Wraith King can get fat, because the laning stage of the Wraith King up against the Mars can be problematic sometimes for a Wraith King.
Yeah, very low armor hero, and the God's Rebuke really does hurt you and all of your skeletons. But I'm kind of weirded out by the Wraith King pick. I love the Alliance lineup, but I don't know what to expect from this hero. I did see it a couple of times, not very successful, but it was from the teams that were losing anyways in the Eastern European DPC. But overall, I don't think it is bad in this game. You have a lot of minus armor with the SF, and you really can cut down these other heroes. Plus, you are gonna be getting some free outpush with the skeletons. So yeah, I'm gonna say I favor Alliance a little bit. Main reason though is they have a Clockwork versus the Nature's Prophet, and I've seen so many Clockworks do well in these matchups.
Yeah, the one thing I'm the most afraid of is, of course, the Nature's Prophet with Sprout onto a Wraith King. Obviously, he has Quelling Blade at the beginning, but he's not like a Battle Fury builder. So at one point in the game, you could be stuck if your supports aren't there to force staff you out every single time. So your supports are 100% going to be forced to buy force staff this game, considering they have no other ways of actually leaving the area. And
I hear
you have
battle.
a very quick brawl at the start of the game here, looking to try and get the first secural of the runes. Okay. The smoke on smoke actually is a full 5v5 man tickle fest. It doesn't happen too often anymore.
Yeah, it's not a real fight. I think Alliance, they are good at pickoffs, but they cannot fight. Whereas Into the Breach, they can't really kill you, but once they're all together, it's a problem. Or they can kill you if you're out of position.
Yeah, a bit too deep, can't go further. You always have to respect the SF with triple Shadow Rays as well, in case you go a little bit too deep. So they'll just back off and probably make it a 2-for-2 bounty rune trade up. No real harm being dealt on either side. On the screen, you have the odds over at BETBOOM, with Alliance being again the underdog, but you know, they won game number 1. I wouldn't be too surprised if they win game number 2 as well, but Supreme playing now on a more active hero, I like that a lot more, because I'll always see Supreme more as a, you know, a playmaking mid laner than just farming away, and what we saw in the Coddle previously.
True. I'm just afraid that he gets crushed in the lane, which can happen. I think the previous matchup he shouldn't have lost, at least not that much, and this one he should lose. So Truan, he has shown that in terms of laning, he's actually very, very strong. Even though Supreme, you know, his laning presence is usually quite powerful. Chuan,
as you mentioned, the Southeast Asian mid laners that love to get aggressive. What? Okay, we look away, Supreme's actually dead. So the reason why he died previously is because Chiwan had, well, he probably died, is Chiwan hit him with a Shadow Rays while he was in the tree, so he had 3 stacks of the Shadow Rays debuff. And every time you get hit by a Shadow Rays, you get a stacking debuff that continues, and Supreme probably didn't reset it when he ran to the creeps, and then triple Shadow Rays came in afterwards, and he's just dead.
Yep. And now there's gonna be a bottle. He still has 2 mangoes. This is gonna continue. This is a really big problem. Embers used to be able to turn it around on the SF when the lane was longer. Milan is in trouble as well, though. Okay, he's fine.
It's not the start Into the Breach wanted or could risk having in that bottom lane. It does get a little bit scary, especially if the Radiant creeps would die underneath the tower, because Hanskin with the Battery Assault and 50 million creeps hitting you, you can kill off either of the two easily, while in the meantime Pumlo dies in the top lane, as it is a Mirana 5, obviously made popular by snaking during TI, but it does have its problems here and there.
Yeah, you'd rather have the Clockwork versus the Nature's Prophet, just because of the double damage of the Battery Assault onto the creeps. It really does help.
Hanskin's gonna get himself caught, dropping pretty low, does walk out to freedom. Milan is gonna try and chase. Oh, he's actually gonna even snipe the courier, push Milan back and continue, because of course the change with, I think it's rebound, right?
Yeah. You can't go onto neutrals. You can't go onto enemies. You have to go onto your own your own creeps or heroes.
And the range is horrid at the moment at level 1.
It's the worst. Literally, you bounce off of a unit and you really don't really move all that much.
You pretty much land right next to it.
Yeah, that is true.
It's sadness these days, at least. on the hero. But yeah, that mid lane, as you said, you expected pretty much going in favor of the SF. Obviously, it started off really bad for Supreme, but it is looking not great with 10 denies already on the SF.
I thought it was gonna be even worse, you know. So it is very bad.
Charlie? He's just straight up dead. Okay.
Good thing he has more CS than he had in the last game at this point. Though last game he did not die, at least. This time around he's not gonna be able to keep himself alive. It's a Wraith King versus the Mars. You should pretty much know that the lane isn't gonna be going your way, though. It's getting a bit brutal up there.
Yeah, they also do have a significant amount of burst between Rubik with the Fate Bolt, and obviously you mentioned the God's Rebuke against a target with very low armor. And Wraith King is a hero that likes to feed off of the fact that he has lifesteal. But if they just burst you down, lifesteal ain't gonna help you whatsoever.
And especially not gonna help you if you get Fate Bolted, so your damage isn't really all that high. So that's also something that that comes to mind, that is a problem. Also, Mars and the Rubik. Ever since Mars even came into Dota, Rubik has been his laning counterpart. Like, it's these two holding hands all the time, and it's probably the best hero to put up with the Mars.
I don't think Mars has ever left the meta once it joined the game. I think it's always been a viable choice.
It's in a worse place now than
Yes.
it has ever been, and it's still being picked up.
Yeah, that just tells you enough about how incredibly strong its toolkit is.
Yeah, it has everything. I think the way that you would maybe it would destroy the hero, but he's way too strong in lane for me. This is something that Valve does a lot, or Highstruck does a lot. Doesn't matter who. When they put in new heroes, their initial stats, animation, last hitting potential is just way too strong, and that's the case with the Mars.
Yeah, Dark Willow was always the hero that I expected the most of. Oh, look at that miniature jump! Oh, so cute. But it's still a previous patch that was that was very sad to see that leap forward.
In the previous patch, if an SF would be playing mid versus a Marcy, he would have a bad time because she would sit on him all the time and always be able to get on top of him and get a kill. Now it's just impossible.
Yeah, you need a lot of levels. You need at least level 3 on your rebound to get close. And that's not really going to happen anymore. I mean, one of my favorite things about when Marcy came out was the Marcy pudge mid, and then Marcy just TPs in, leaps on the enemy, tosses him back, and then the hook comes out. It was stupid. It made no sense, but it was lovely to see. Oh, Supreme caught inside the cogs, but
he's okay.
A bit too far away for Chi1. I mean, is he really okay? Yes, he survives, but has to walk all the way back to base.
Remember Charlie in the previous game? Huh?
That is true. But Ember's
had a bad
not
time.
really the best catch-up farm, depending on, of course, the item build, the skill build that you go for. But you really need the Maelstrom to farm.
He went for the chains, so he wants to be this murdering guy. Speaking of murder, Charlie would have died if they used those spells perfectly, but maybe he dies either way.
If he survives, that would come down
nice.
to his helm, leap in from Bono, a lot of damage onto Zibe, but it is, well, Mars is still a pretty tanky hero, especially if you pick up a Bracer. Not even going for the Wraith Band this patch? Okay, okay, interesting choice.
Don't know if you saw that one. Charlie eats the tree and then plants the tree at the exact same spot. So creates a path for himself into the breach. Think that they're gonna follow him through with that one. It doesn't happen. So in the end, that missed spear. Yeah.
What? Okay, that's really early. The bottom tier 1 tower has already been taken by S4. Ooh, Alliance with the 2k net with lead. Both their mid and off lane going ridiculously well. Centaur's already got his Vanguard done. He's not gonna die. They have to commit like 3-4 heroes to kill him.
Yep, he is rich. He is tanky. Our viewers can attempt to get rich if they click on the banner below. You get that first free bet, but it is gonna be a first smoke from Into the Breach. They have to kill the SF. I understand this. This guy has to die. If Chuan reads them right now, Into the Breach are gonna be very, very sad about the early starts of this game.
Nice catch off the mid. TP comes in, Centaur sent B, gives it away. No Requiem of Souls gets popped just yet. Hanskin did go for the TP, but they get a huge kill onto Chi1. Make sure his souls get lost and harass him as much as possible, because he is top net worth of the game, and again, he needs to make that area for Charlie so that he can start really farming. Of course, Wraith King is pretty good at farming with the innate crit, lifesteal, and the skeletons that you can summon into the jungle. So as core safe laners that farm goes, Wraith King is probably one of the better ones to fall behind on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. He can clean out the jungle quite easily. Though into the breach, they're continuing to get kills. They're playing around Supreme, and this is the big thing. Their supports are very good at going towards the mid lane, but so are Alliance's heroes. So I'm very surprised that they didn't help their SF more when they saw that he was winning. They just pushed out the Ember. Wasn't like, we're done. This hero doesn't do anything any longer. But that's not how Dota works. Now with just one smoke, you've gotten Supreme to a point when with level 6, you know, he's fine.
Yeah, he should not be in the worst problems anymore. Requiem of Souls onto Milan, takes a heap of damage, and the arrow even lands, making sure the kill gets secured. It didn't do as much damage because SF didn't have, actually, no, it didn't have the max souls, I think, available to him, so was slightly weaker. Nonetheless, it was more than enough. The Eureka gets thrown out from Zidbei. S4 trying to help out his mid lane, but Chi1 dies again, and now S4 is stuck on the wrong side of the river. Will be able to try and disengage. So to Stampede, he will be able to get away. Ultimate is actually going to die. That is a huge counter kill from the support of Alliance.
S4 came back to die for some reason.
I just wanted to hang around, high-five the enemies, but it's still a very favorable fight for Into the Breach there, especially taking down the two top net worth cores of the game. Chi1 dying twice in a row as well. It does hamper his farm significantly.
He's gonna die again. He doesn't have a Requiem. Can the Clockwork save him here? Oh no, he's gonna block him in.
Oh, that's a nice dodge. Actually, Nate's Prop keeping in the lift up control. Chi1, 3 deaths in a row. This is not looking too superb. S4 TP's in towards mid as well. They're trying to create space because the Wraith King needs to catch up, but they're just feeding away kills, especially Chi1 needs to be a lot more careful on his positioning.
Yeah, this is the confidence that crushing the mid lane gets you sometimes, and then you just feed that goal that you've just worked so hard for over and over again, and it is a problem. SF, it's not as bad as it used to be in terms of dying. It used to be when you die with an SF, it's a bummer. You have to get so many souls. Now there's less of them, but still, you need some time to prepare for a fight. And now you're just not as ahead, not as tanky, and the levels are gonna be the main issues because Ember, he's struggling in net worth, but in terms of levels, he's actually going to be looking okay.
The Ember, of course, needing levels, especially in the early game, predominantly, because he just needs to get his max level. He doesn't even have a point in Flame Guard, so it's just pure on fighting constantly. So that he relies on these skirmishes, engagements every single time, because otherwise he went for the Flame Guard if he wanted to go for a farming build. He has 0 points in it. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, you definitely don't. And Alliance knew it, and still they gave those fights around the mid lane. So big mistake. They could have been a lot further ahead now, but not the case. And the mid lane tower dropping down is a big deal. Usually, you know, before the blink daggers come out, it's not that big of a deal, but Mars is gonna have his blink soon. You have an Ember and a Marcy, so a lot of catch to utilize the mid lane tower being down.
Oh. Lead to the side, phone low, does he get away, drop it very low, the chase is close, he's very likely dead, pops the ulti and will get taken down. But as you can see, they're 7 kills ahead on Into the Breach's side, but the net worth advantage still is in favor of Alliance. They're doing a really good job, even though they're losing fight after fight, to constantly keep up and getting farm in this game. So that's a pretty impressive feat on their end.
It is definitely, but still, with this mid lane tower being down, they're going to be forced into the mid lane more and more, which is going to hinder their farm. Look at what Into the Breach is doing. They're just going forward with the aggression until Alliance get those first round of items, blink on the Centaur, maybe even BKB or a blink on the Wraith King, and a BKB on the SF. You can't really engage all that hard.
Going for Charlie, he does have an armlet, so he can always try to toggle. Not going to be the best toggle, he's going to get taken down, has the second life. Will be caught inside the arena, but Immersion dropping very low in HP. They're actually just Gucci, because in from behind the center stampede, they actually got caught on the wrong side themselves. Supreme is just going to get absolutely cracked with his double damage SF. And Supreme, can he get away? It seems to be... So they won't be able to catch more, but that is a huge turnaround play, and it all comes down to Hansken placing that observer ward onto their outpost at the start, seeing the entire rotation from into the breach come in to try and kill off Charlie, and then the TP from S4 and Chi1 from behind. So that was really good calling on Alliance side to just pretty much sacrifice Charlie's first life to make that fight happen.
Still, there was a chance that Charlie dies again, but because of the beautiful placement of the cogs, he could constantly be behind them. And then you know that the spear is not going to be that successful because the cogs are always going to help you not catch yourself onto the edge of the arena. So that was a really big one that the cogs were placed there.
Oh, Rec Room. Oh, hook shot comes in. Arrow is actually going to land as well.
Beautiful.
That is some superb team play. Like, they hit every spell that they need at the right time.
Yeah, that was just beautiful. Beautiful utilization of spells. They definitely have good communication. And I think that's something that S4 always brings to the team, is good communication. These kind of plays kind of always work when he's in a team.
That's experience coming into play. Hansken is also a very experienced player himself. Really good to see him back on the Alliance roster.
Nostalgia hitting?
Yeah, nostalgia hitting. I mean, Alliance always has had very fun rosters. Obviously, the most TI winning team is the most famous one, but there's also the Liquid, pretty much, that longest running roster that played together in Dota, and that always has a soft spot for my feeble heart.
And Alliance, I mean, they picked them up when that roster really wasn't all that strong. I remember when they started playing, they really weren't all that good, but they were constantly getting themselves better. And now some of those players, not all of them, but a good chunk of them are now in Liquid, and they're looking like the strongest team in the Western European region, maybe even the strongest team in the world. So it is quite nice. They did start from Alliance. This organization, even though currently they are not the strongest in the Western European region, they're always gonna have a spot in the heart of the real Dota fans.
They'll always find a lineup that they can build. Even if they have to start all the way from scratch, they will find a way back into a solid spot. Hansken will be taken down top side, but he doesn't care that much that he gets taken down. Otakar, though, top net worth at the moment on the Nature's Prophet. But Supreme has, this is the big downside that we were talking about. No Flame Guard, constantly wanting to fight. If the fights don't work out in your favor, his net worth is just dropping further and further.
Yeah, definitely is the case currently. Finally, Into the Breach are gonna start farming more on this Nature's Prophet and pushing in the lanes. And this is when their lineup really hits its stride, because lanes are pushed in, and then you can make plays with the Ember, just like what they were doing. The mid lane tower being down will help you for sure. So this is the right timing for Into the Breach, where Alliance, they're gonna be trying to push in the lanes where they can, and it's on Into the Breach to not allow that to happen and get the catch, because in the end, you still need to get the kills, or your Rubik, Marcy, and the Ember aren't really going to be useful at the later stages of the game. But we see that no one is favoring Into the Breach right now, because the odds are definitely stacked against them, and stacked against this Mars, who's looking very dead.
Yeah, Zimmer gets caught. There's the vision gain from Hansken. Of course, coming through with the rocket flare hook shot shenanigans, and that's the advantage of having a hero in your lineup that can get you vision. Even Miranda a little bit with the arrow, but for the most part, Into the Breach don't have any good. They would have to spread the treants out to find any vision, and that's the only tool that they really have.
That is true. If your lanes aren't pushed in, you don't have the info on the map, and you should have a lot of it now if you want to play, because S4 has a blink, and this is a perfect time to use it.
Oh no, the Rec Room arrow, boom goes the dynamite, double kill secured. They again think they can take down one of the Alliance cores, and the rest of the team is right there waiting for the attempt to come through and denies it immediately. Milan just walking right up, but Hanskin's coming in from behind the arena. Gets dropped by Zidbe. The catch. Do they have any damage coming up? Oh, it does hit pretty heavily with the hook shot from Hanskin. He's trying to walk out of the arena. It will be a 1-for-1 Milan versus for S4 trade. Zidbe actually wants to go in for more. Does need to be a little bit careful because there's a BKB on the SF done. And while all of this is going on, you have Charlie just chilling in the bottom lane, farming his creeps, making his way through the network charts.
He understands how important it is for the bottom lane to push in. If Into the Breach have to deal with that one, they can't do much. But I really liked it here, because what ended up happening is you think the Stampede is because they want the SF to escape, but it's actually used so that you have the instant stomp from the Centaur, so that the Ember cannot get away. So it just worked out beautifully for Alliance.
S4 is playing so incredibly well this game, and also the fact that they know that with the item build, the Ember is just not getting any farm whatsoever, and he just constantly wants to take engagements in his favor. And they're really abusing that fact. They're abusing the hell out of Into the Breach. Now with Roshan being attempted, it's going to drop very quickly considering their lineup is pretty exceptional at taking Rosh.
Yeah, especially with the DD on the SF. Man, poor Immersion. He's running away from a DDSF, and then he gets onto the high ground where a Wraith King one-shots him. You know, you had nowhere to run there. And now SF has a BKB, has an Aegis. This hero is not dying any longer, and this hero has to die if Into the Breach want to have a fight, right? If he is in the fight using his spells, constantly right-clicking, you are gonna lose. So it is gonna be incredibly hard right now for Into the Breach to engage. Though, they still have the arena, so maybe if you place it well and the SF needs to pop a BKB run in, stuff like that, maybe you can still win a fight even with this Aegis.
It's going to be a little bit of split push probably needed soon from Otaker to spread the map open. They have pretty decent counterplays, of course, the Clockwork hook shot. If they could TP and try and get a catch onto the Nature's Prophet, but definitely a little bit worrisome this game. They need to find more successful plays, to be fair, on Into the Breach, especially taking down one of the cores. But as you mentioned, they're pretty hard to kill. Chiwon actually is kind of surrounded. The spear does not stun him, and he's just waiting for his Aegis to get popped. There's his first life, but Charlie comes running in. He's got the Deso already on Charlie. Mirana ulti gets stolen by Immersion. That's a pretty big steal, because they can just walk away.
Chuan favored his BKB charge there over the Aegis, which is weird. For an SF, 6-second BKB is okay, because you pretty much want it for Requiem, and then just a couple of hits are gonna be fine. So for me, that is something I didn't expect. I expected him to go for a BKB immediately when he sees his enemies to retain the Aegis. Now that advantage is gone.
I think it was because he wanted to lure them in and lose his first life, so they try to get his second life possibly. And if he bought BKB, they just immediately walk back.
He was hoping they were done, but they weren't.
Exactly. He was hoping they'd make a big fat mistake. Right now, the mistake though is looking for more than just the Clockwork. They're going to be running back. Supreme actually throwing down a Fire Remnant, and Charlie's right next to it. They could try and possibly bait out any engagements there, but it's going to be a chase onto Milan instead, into the trees. He doesn't really have anywhere to go, does he? Oh, he gets the TP off before Charlie can hit him with the Wraith Fire Blast, and he actually does get himself out of there.
Very nice spot. You put yourself in such a spot that they can't see you if you don't enter that one. But if you click where he is, your hero will still not get the reveal, because the pathing won't allow your hero to go there. So that is a very nice spot to go for a TP, and Alliance, they just weren't expecting it immediately.
Well, that's some
I got
quick
dizzy.
following of the Ember.
That's quicker.
Arrow, and oh yeah. They're quicker than the Ember is in that situation. The Centaur Stomp into Mirana Arrow combo from Pulno and S4 has been hitting the entire time, and pretty well done on their part. G1 top side gets another core taken down. And it's really only the Nature's Prophet that's doing a good job here.
Nice toggle.
They get the kill, yes they do. S4 will fall. Charlie can disengage with the TB. Don't think he'll be able to get caught, but okay. At least they find a counter kill on the side of Into the Breach, and Otakar is actually getting very big.
Yeah, this Ember Spirit kill really reminded me of one video in the past. I don't know, a capoeira fighter like jumping all around, and then a boxer just comes in and one shots him. Yeah, that's how it looked like. Ember left, right, and then he just gets stunned up and dies like easily from the side of Alliance. So it doesn't matter how fast you are if they do catch you in the end. But still, that is a solid sequence of events for Alliance. Even though they lose the Centaur, they get the tower, they get a couple of kills, and they're still kind of holding the lead in this one. Yes, the Nature's Prophet is getting insanely strong, but he is dealing the double core lineup, whereas on his side, he doesn't really have that much to back him up.
Yeah, that's the big downside here. The Into the Breach core is just falling further in terms of net worth. There's also the Guarding Greaves now done on the Mirana, so they're bringing in sustain on the supports from Alliance. Something that will be a little bit problematic for Into the Breach to manage to do, considering their supports are not really... Like, Marcy wants to go for the BKB first item rush. Rubik's probably 4 staff, I would say, considering you're up against Clockwork and whatnot. And you need to really dodge the Centaur Stomp into arrow combos that constantly keep happening. So either you go Shard or you go 4 staff is a big necessity in this game. It means there's no Guardian Greaves, Pipe, Wraithback buildups for their team.
Oh, that's a big jump. Oh, nice BKB usage.
Stomp is stolen. Not the most fun steal for Immersion. He's going to just still get it off regardless, even though it's very scary. As for dropping very low, Ruby taking down the hookshot comes in. They're going to go for the backline. Supreme is dead. I mean, technically that's the front line. They lose both their mid and safe laner. Beforehand, they got themselves the Nature's Prophet, and the Sibase doesn't have a BKB available anymore. Arrow lands, easy pickings. All 3 cores get shellacked by Alliance, and yes, they lose their Centaur. That's an offer they are willing to make.
Yeah, no one really cares about that one. The fight started with the Nature's Prophet being taken down, and that is just the case. When you look at the heroes of Alliance, they have a couple of ways to initiate. You know, the Wraith King, the Centaur, and the Clockwork. And if any of those catches someone, they can very easily die. Of course, the Mars does respond to the BKB, but the Nature's Prophet wasn't fast on his fingers, and he's just dead.
There's Clockwork again. You know, he constantly keeps dying top lane solo. Every
single
time I see him dying, it's top lane solo, and he gets ganked by 3 enemies.
I actually like it. I think it's smart. If you get to the river and you die, you don't care, right? The thing is, he wants that top lane pushed out, and he wants to die away from his tower. So as soon as he sees that the creep's a little bit farther away... Oh no, Milan is dead again.
Well, that's the Shadow Blade reveal right there from Chiwon. Yeah. That's painful moments for anyone in this game, because you're going to be forced to buy even more sentries, considering they do have the Mirana obviously on the side of Alliance. So vision is going to be very important, and that is one area that Into the Breach lineup is lacking a bit in. Yeah, and Into the Breach overall, their supports like to have farm. They're not, you know, a Phoenix, considering that we were talking about him a lot in this series, that doesn't really need any items. Rubik and the Marcy wants the BKB, wants the Bash, Rubik wants the Blinks, he wants the Ether Lens. Of course, if you get a Axe, that is great, but it's a luxury item. But when you constantly have to buy sentries, if you don't have a sentry in a bad spot, then it means that you're not really going to be getting up there in terms of net worth. Immersion is actually going for the Guardian Greaves. I have seen some Rubiks build that up as well. It's not really where you want to be as a Rubik, but it makes a lot of sense. There are some good spell steals this game, but I guess Arrow, Great Fire Blast, I guess, Centaur Stampede, and Requiem of Souls are the best ones, and you kind of, most of them you want to stay as long range from the enemy as possible when they use those spells. This game in particular, the Greaves is just a bad item. Overall, it's just way too good in the meta right now to skip out on. So someone has to buy it. The Mars isn't going to be doing it, and then when you're buying it on a support where there's absolutely nothing to purge off, you're not purging off anything, maybe like the Wraith Fire Blast lingering damage or the SF raises, but who the hell cares? You cannot purge off anything big. It just comes down to it that it is a big waste of money that you have to buy. Yeah, but yeah, your sport, you're forced to get it, and no crying about it. That's the current patch. It's just like previous patch where it's, oh yeah, you're an offlaner, buy Wraithback. You don't want to buy Wraithback, buy Wraithback. It's, you don't have a choice.
You know, there was this offlaner, yeah, but there was this offlaner who was also in the grand finals that didn't really buy a lot of Wraithback, so you know, you could still play with that.
He refused to buy Wraithback, and what happened to him?
He was second in TI.
Yeah, but that means he wasn't first. he was second to the guy that bought Wraithback.
You suck. Yeah. Okay, that is that is true. That is true, and it caught up to him because he dropped to Division 2. Yep,
that was that's sadness, definitely. Though in this game, it seems that there is going to be a Wraith Pack being built up on Zibe. On the Mars, he's building up a Wraith Pack as we speak. He already has the flash done. There we see the probability, 88%. Even though it looks so far forward, this feels a lot more doable for Into the Breach considering their heroes than game number 1.
Yes, definitely. This time around, they have ways to push out the lanes. Whenever you have a hero that overwhelmingly pushes out the lanes, you can always make the plays. You just need to be fast enough, and you need to be able to read the map well enough. Of course, the vision gain from the Clockwork will hinder that ability, but you can always have the ability to make a play, and that makes it possible to win at some point.
Well, they know that they're doing Roche. They're heading towards the pit. They're trying to block any entries to the Roche pit. Roche is a little bit far to be taken down, though the arena gets dropped. The rest of the team is still not there, so the arena doesn't really get abused that well. Hookshot comes in, they're kiting it around
Bad cogs.
effectively, but Zibe is going to get taken down. Charlie needs to be a little bit careful. The backline
Big
jump
one.
S4 with a 3-man stun comes through. Supreme is not very low, has the BKB, is trying to get rid of the support on the back end. Supreme, your teammates are all dead. The cores have all fallen. Supreme, BKB is
no remnants.
And that is going to be almost a full team wipe. Alliance walk back into the pit, get themselves the Aegis, and that is looking like they're probably going to melt the outstanding buildings.
Yeah, the fight was actually bad from Alliance. Very bad Clockwork cogs placement, because Charlie was like, I have a BKB, let's go, and then he gets put into the cogs and has to run away during that one. So that was a big one, and in the end, the only reason you got the kill is because you had this illusion rune. It wasn't the chains that finished off the Mirana, it was the Ember illusions that were in the river we're gonna be seeing there towards the end of the fight. But look at those cogs, that's a terrible start to the fight.
From S4. Oh.
Yeah,
boom!
big.
3-man stun. Oh, just
kapow!
Absolutely disgusting. And Otaka just gets overwhelmed as well. The arena was also a bit unfortunate in that scenario, because he drops the arena and his teammates are like too far away. So the entire arena was wasted. I mean, not necessarily wasted. It forced out the BKB, at least from Charlie, but that was all it did. It forced out a BKB, and you need a lot more value out of what is essentially your only real big spell that you have on Into the Breach.
Chuan didn't even pop the BKB inside of the arena. He actually just dodged the spear. He had this much confidence. I don't know why. You don't have to hold that BKB, just use it. And it's like, nope, you cannot hit me with a spear. And he really does sidestep it so nicely. And as we're seeing, you know, Ember burning these creeps, Delina burning our screens, giving you the info about the banner down below. So you can click that one if you want, guys. But 14,000 gold lead, not insurmountable, but still this is a problem, because you're gonna be forced into a fight right now and you don't want that.
Speaking of which, Yuan trying to get in the damage. Supreme get the jump back to safety. But Otaka might not be so lucky. The damage coming out, it's a lot, but he will just be able to walk it off. They don't want to dive tier 4s, and that is probably a solid move, because there is a buyback available for the Mars as we speak. They're just going to focus on the objectives, and that's something that a lot of teams lose track of. But of course, you do have S4 with probably some of the most experience in Dota in general on your side.
Yeah, he probably lost a lot of games when diving too far, and he probably won a lot of games against teams that have dove too far. So he understands when to say stop, go for the racks. And really, Alliance, if they approach this game just systematically, going from one lane to another, pushing in the lanes, and then going for the high ground, they will win.
A jump in for more. They get some control onto the SF. Chuan, though, he just right clicks away at Zibe with that BKB. He doesn't care. It does do a lot of damage. Ziba with the arena usage right now will be able to walk it off, it seems, but they did lose Milan in the process. And they still have the Aegis available on the SF. He's full HP, full mana. That's probably going to be the mid-setter racks. Wouldn't surprise me if they go for bottom, considering Charlie's already there knocking away at the gates.
Yeah, no arena, you can easily go. You still have the Aegis even without the BKB. The SF is strong. You just saw how much damage he can do to the Mars if he breaks.
They are
the arrow!
Oh, that's a big catch. Requiem of Souls comes out as well. Ziba didn't have a BKB. He's going to get taken down. Otake, he's all alone. His teammates are all dead. There's a buyback from Supreme. Let's try and go back in. Hanskin will be taken down, but there's just so much you have to deal with. Especially this Chiwan SF is very terrifying. His right clicks are pretty exceptional. Level 24 as well. Well, they do see a big jump coming in. Center step beat onto two. The arrow lands again onto Milan. That should... Actually, Milan's not taking that much damage in the process. Can he walk back? No! Big smackdown in his face. Charlie shuts him down. And 26k net with lead. 2 sets of racks ahead. They can decide to go for top, or honestly, it wouldn't be surprising if they just decide to finish. TP in by Supreme. He's going for the backline. He wants to get rid of the supports. Actually, the only support being Pondo there. The GG just gets called straight up because he can't get anything done. And that, ladies and gents, is Alliance Div 2 coming ahead in this series with a pretty convincing 2-0.
Yeah, their coach couldn't look at this any longer. He just called it there. The arrows from Ponlo at the end, they were insane. And I think S4, we talked about him controlling the team and, you know, saying back. I think he found out that he can't really control these Southeast Asia players. They're still gonna dive.
Yeah, it was it was a good game. Honestly, I was a little bit afraid of Alliance performance because the game yesterday against the
Orido Thunders?
No, they were against Manaspa, I think.
Really? Oh yeah, you're right.
So yeah, that one did not go as well as I would have expected from them. So I was a little bit worried in this series. I still gave them the edge over into the breach because like star power, they have a lineup that is full star power. But they looked so good. She won especially, like on that SF in the mid lane. The game number 1 as well. It wouldn't be surprising to me. SF, I mean, he gets MVP. Obviously, we kind of both expected it. Game 2, you could say S4 maybe as well, because he hit so many stuns into the Ponlo arrows that both, it was a team effort, but Chiwan played a superb series.
Yeah, he had like a minute and a half of mistake after mistake, and that's about it. He played the laning phase awesomely, and then he dropped the ball for 2 minutes, and then he just went in, washed his face, went back, and said, "Okay, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to not make any mistakes any longer." And he didn't die a single time after that one. As soon as the BKB came out, it was almost impossible for them to go on him.
He needs to get a new picture though. He still has his Geek Fam shirt on. So it needs to get that Alliance merch shirt picture spread all over the place. But yeah, this new Alliance, it's obviously a little bit of a stranger Alliance considering they have 2 Southeast Asian players and it's a mix of old and very new. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can bring more to the future in both the DPC and in specifically the BETBOOM Universe tournament.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, into the breach, they're a strong team. You know, even in Division 1, they looked pretty solid. I had a couple of interviews with Milan as well, and he said they were doing solidly well in scrims too. And then Alliance comes down and smacked them. Again, this just speaks volumes to how strong the Western European region is. Even today, Orido Thunders, they beat VP. It's just amazing how strong these teams are.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this tournament. Of course, Division 1 is done. So you can get some Division 1 teams in here and whatnot to see where everyone stands. And they got some really good invites, I must say. And into the breach, you know, Division 1 team dropping to Division 2, you get to see a real test between a quote-unquote Division 1, Division 2 team. But they kind of do have the similar roles of constantly jumping in between the two. And right now, Alliance looks so much stronger than into the breach. It could also just be, you know, a specific day, a specific situation and whatnot. And Chiwan looked on fire, especially on that SF. He just looked incredibly dangerous. But yeah, I doubted it a bit. I got a bit afraid, but they proved me completely wrong. In Alliance, they're looking to make their mark this season.
Yeah, you were missing your position 5 though. It was the coach playing, even though you shouldn't be much weaker. He should know all of your tactics, moves, and stuff like that. It's still the communication isn't the same. So hopefully this isn't the strongest that we see from Into the Breach. But Alliance, as you mentioned, they did look crisp and strong.
Yep.